Baba, have you been told at the Frontier party necessary as majority leader then? Or my cartel? You know why you were changed?
I know. It was told me by the president at the time.
Okay.
And
but why in the public?
Osei,
like the reason one fan to you.
Oh, say of free MPs no name ministers no.
Yes.
Or them na amo a share.
Yes.
Sadino.
Okay.
Na asem bobo bano. MPs no be about over 80 of them. That means number 137. About 80 of them had appended their signatures. So what to say asimsi neighbor. And I should assure them say I will hold and they will support me. And me call ya present a fraying and all the two anymore. Now even them who cramp no ministers no be a bit here and also say I want to say na papa no beka na president Yamai. Now mamintie they are going to support me. Now I should hold on as the majority
leader.
Now me down must. Some of them sent messages to me in Manima. Me called them hona President Bekasa here no. I know kaso adena o ye no nyono oni party no eneye. Na me march no against the MPs no ya. Ma here get the big implosion be party. Oh. And here na on the spur of the moment, I decided to say no, I've had enough. Let me step aside.
Awia no mienu abo ayo Kumasi online TV so Tik TV and Friends of Ken TV my hwefo na tiefo nyina ha ene awia yi sebe akopem se no na bo de adwuma de awia se nyina gye atum shoda no ene na awia ye de bra wo ne ekoso ka wo se ye Ghana mantim enti woni tua se do match dia na Ghana ne nyina obi awe se 6 match ni independence nya ye no ebetumi ede aba na ene 5th match o kire 6 match ye man penye di kaka che se enya de se ebebo dwa se ni mu first no we de betena fikesiem no make akra bi ketuwa bi e de ama o ma na fe ya gye ahome se be ya yenkwa adwuma na ade chia ya toa so akwa adwuma nti e behwe na nso edidi eho nkobo wonimu se enebe se 2 days ni na 3 days e 3rd match no ana Accra International Conference Center e National Economic Dialogue eno mpayimfo e de hye so ya ne yadwendwen Ghana se de bia betumi akoyi amaye omansika sem yedwadie wonsem ya ge culture ne ne mebeboa oman no yanyina mo nka ne wonsem ne mpayimfo kotoatoa na amutom sa de fem mpayimfo ahodo munim de yomaka sa dwuma de nase na yebehwe na yedidi no so ho nkomo pa ni awese enima bes enum wotwe bia mpayimfo no edigu apono so digu nkrata so na afei omoye sem besi wugyaye no behwene bibie so akyerɛw na yɛdidi ɛno so ɛho enkomo na ɛno akyi so wate sɛ papa na emne betwem na wɔyɛ MP ɛwɔ Soame constituency Honorable Osei Kyei Mensah Bonsu na ɔyɛ majority leader ɛwɔ parliament ɔpanyini akasa ɛkɔyɛ fa so ani dibre no efiri ni nsakodi ɛyɛ yewura afenyoma kens ɛhɔ no wacheche ni nyina mu ɛbɛhwɛ na edidi ɛho enkomo sɛ no nso sɛ edi nkata mu nsam nyina bɛba na onso so wawudi ekoso na atum na kenkan a obebe hye ase edi afiri na hu emu nsam nso so na ne nkomo yeba bedi ene sɛ onim sɛ oman no sɛ bi enema mo yɛden obi aka inflation Bank of Ghana governor no ame ati asese CID yɛbɛhwɛ sɛ inflation betina ba form ama Ghana sɛ bi abeti 7 cedis no betima ko ba 3 cedis 2 cedis so emutu a enne sɛ one to be 20 a wo me no beko be 4 cedis and 5 cedis te se go be ene kokko ne eye pe ne efe ne sei kosua ne ade apese wo di feeling nankasa no eno sei unguta be 30 and 40 anya so betumi ame eno nso so opanyini se behwe ne ade tini nyina so enti ade a ama omani mu ayedin eti Ghana ha bode se bi yedo yenkra enso so untimi ntobode mpo na kofufuo di ene kwotwo ba na be se utofufuo di a se on to 30 Ghana cedis fufuo nko na mo nka wa se bi omen fufuo ene kwede ntwa 10 biem na 10 mpo no te se banku ya 5 cedis atwemu mienu nya de fama ene 10 cedis na de ba kwa ho pa ne se ukotwo ba no on to fufuo be 2025 a ye ntwa ne ntwa mienu emfama wo eyi ni ba akopɛ ketewa bi na de apɔkyere mu na asanko aka ho eseje so ntini na ya de inflation no opanyini so bɛhwɛ sɛ bibia betumi aba fam na Ghana nso so afri adomo akwa adomo ogopemu a Upper East region yache emnantie ne babawa adwanu ensian rather 66 people are see omutu Galamsey ɛwɔ Upper East region yache sankofo ni nyina ya ohwa Ghana fo wom Togo fo wom Cote d'Ivoire fo wom Nigeria fo wom ano makɔhyɛ Upper East region ho ano mutu gala yɛbɛhwɛ na asɛm yi awie yɛdi ɛho nkɔmɔ na BBC ayɛ Soviet bi a ɛnyina ehu sɛ ɛba bɔnten no Ghana fo ɛkasa ɛfa saade no ho na sɛbi ama Ghana ni ba bia moto na agye yɛnsɛm ɛyɛ nwanwa sɛ yɛti ɔman ni mu na sɛbi enubɔni a ɛmabunu a yɛbɛgya Ghana de ama wɔ mu ahyɛ ɔmo nsa bɛyɛ ɛbɛdi ɔman no so no emu ma animu mɛma di awe ho kra ne sɛ ɛman ni mpo sɛbi sa drugs no ɛman no enum bi ɛmɛmɛnom ɛmɛnom kyɛ sɛ ɛskuulfoɔ yɛ ɔmo kɔ skuul ɔmo nonom obi si ɔndo ɔnoma ne time ne dedede ɔnoma ne ni agye ne wo fili asa onom saade no na asem wei ena wiei ebedi ehon komo awo dwumadie so mo nhyɛ no so emfa emame na dwumadie madawroma ani de kwa so ye de nkata mu nsɛm nyina ebeba na mo nso so manya bia kan na before then no o hwɛ ene komo na sɛ ne esi ani abre na yɛtena se na yɛbɛka nsɛm no yɛmfa ni agro enu nti yenua ba Rosina ya ɔno ekure ye obi a okasa de ma ɛyɛ abafranto on se sa party no ye papa koye chamanten wantimi anya ba bia nyinya ma tada krompa tu no mi amadamfo anko ya amfa amaye be di nyina ma nyame enche baba kan yensa wo ha na dwumadie ni nyina bomadi amna efe yenua bema eye dogbe Kevin eye NDC communication team member opanyini atenase ya enche bomba teninka e wo dwumadie so mo hye no so emfa maye emreni nti no yenko na yema nana ya emfa nkrata mu nsɛmuma na fe ye wi a yom gakane mu bo na yentrase na yensi nkunya na emomo no o hwɛ dwumadi a ɛhyɛ aseɛ 3rd March kopem enra na sɛ 4th March na sɛ enra yes enra na jeje sɛ enya senketo akora na o hwɛ ba bi ɛyɛ me de pa no memu hu sɛ Ghana mpemfo de adwumade a Ghana ahama ne reset no ɛbɛyɛ adwuma Saudi adwuma pa de a ma na sua nimdeɛ okofi okosua nyansa mahama osua de pa ba onum sɛ dom kuma no o manko na kodwo ponkroma kasa sɛ o man invite wo mu ba empemfo bi so kasa o mo boa invite wo mu na pena o manko koso mo kokora mpa ɛyɛ asɛm nana me mo ha ma me
Ofada nso mejo so a
na pom tisen
oba de na da Roma me ho ye na nso e
nyame adom ho ye pa
ye do oba de
o ho ye fe pa o top ye fata o pa kama so
se de bia me ka cho se ye wo ya wada de a na che se ye bo no na ho fe ne nso
ya wada fo no
jale o ya wada ni bie ne ho no ma ne ho otan
eye binom no mu ho fe
wo de na akɔfa ye na da ne me ka kyerɛ wo se wo fada
nkɔfa wo bia me sro
minim de wo kɔfa ne me ni tue nti na wo fada so ya se me ka ya afo asama na abese wo solidity ne sinity eba ya wada ena ne nan eba efiada nti wonye full Thursday born
nti yes we half
na ye na ye wo ye na wi abre ne de wo fada so jai
sa
awon fe ne dwale yen yanga
yes awon fe duye wana bese me hwe mani ma me da se e be ma me ba choboti no comment ne dia ba na ya kenkan e dia ma fato comment section ase ne kenkan ni na mfa mo da roma se ba ya nkoma ye die no won so be dunu age nkyira ba o man panyini se o kyena ye ma ache se ne nimu no obeti comment ya ba no man panyini ya adwen de na woka Ghana is here. I mean, sure say we come by 66 and 68 yes independence. Yenyano. They be a the team and now say be a ne Bahama Benebia. Okushu idea what the boy idea near American cabinet bachelor and also putting the comment about Nafe. Yadi a home common. Nana, yes. Now what's your say, Kyei Mensah Bonsu? Na count na ode mayeno efa maye pamono no
Osei Kyei Mensah Bonsu metie no na me yada ne first ne pa so na nsen no ne kasa ye bi no ase enkoyie mamente no ama wodo sonko ananka me woma no ya ayera
adan
because me hu ni se honorable Osei Kyei Mensah Bonsu eba ne politics a onimdi ewo ho edwume wa ya ache adwini mu dwankasa wa sumo man Ghana che yie papa na fitibira wo ba afie yi ne nsem bi as wa sha ase a wo keka no I personally feel say nsem bi a party no as MPB party a makwa akensie a reporto mamani megu ase say de na wo ye peni a wugusu aso e wo party ne mu de me expect say nsem bi ho no mani kwan san ko ba bonten ebeka na so ase obi esie mu opposition a and as a reasim nyansa nyina no egumutirim but the moment a mo beba ba mu ne de na chesa akwakoye 0.001 de mo be ye bia no emfa kwan mu ne nsema wodi tu dwa no wofada nso metie kwan a Nana Addo danko ekufu ado efa so a ema wo no ebetena afia na so yi ne di but say de na wo ka ne nsem no ase yeyi medi ase yeyi medi utie ne nsem na ase yeyi ne di ase yeyi ne di
but say baby no hwa according to him no kire say odikanya hint eye ono ne colleagues ni bi
MPs ni bi na etia na so
dia abani nji say ehia opinyi na ma onyi ntum no beta na chi no so wate enti waso no kodu ho na ye say udimba in FSS meeting emergency meeting no so attend to meeting no okodu na say president etiwo no de tu nanim say CCA ohwa central region hono ase omu arusu credibility ni maneme bi ho ase omu enhyɛ nya hoden ho papa na ohwe kura NDC for nso kura ma friends ato force kura be majority leader minority leader ama eno idusu kura no say dia onya IBMT ni ke be ya ompre nanka momfa empo bia wo central region be ye majority leader no ho to so mo kan no wa political kan so Mr. President enko ba se bia wo nko a na osisi agina no e bia oni party nya na atrase ana ma ti se ma dwe ho dia metim twan ho fonti me resign na mo de mani pamba se mo de ma no na so resign enti akoba eno ka so mo so onwene ho do maka no oyi ano sei na se bia o ka ne sei eno so wono me yese bia wo mpra me bisa nti one de se party sigina dia ontimi entwe party na no ngofom to be ne se one de budget no akwa resign nti o hwa o resign but o me nyina di say o mapam no so mo de tu nanim no
nti na make say de wo ye no ho no ase de ye pame no na ase de ya mpame no nso no na resign
o say de asamba tu onim say bia say o tie ye say o dibra wo no ase bia manager na say bia CEO no ye pese ye sesa mo bi ba by omunya nsigina say ye mo akobet e betu ni so o je pene ya o say it's like say o ma ma say bia o say
ye pama
decision ye o ye man kwa na say fatwo ne ko by o mo freni polite way ne kasai say okay dia abani eti o kan say dia na mo ye ba na de maye say obagia tum ana say onyin yes ana no kan say da bi say otie do mampanyina kana anya mampanyin kwa gina sie aye party ni mpanyinfo ni nyina na esi gina ye ba ono ye leader ni ntino na ode atonim dia sabi oso otie ase na otranchen na o resign eti omo anyina dia amfo so no onso hwe ena di su dia na anko ni say ton de omo andis for ka say yempene yem onfanto ba ready your friend no tenase
so ye peni wa so mache
enti na senkom no ka say de menti ase ana onuan support ne say de bi yempene ema onabo se Kyei Mensah Bonsu emfi sa position wa and a party ni force so the letter ba say you dey free wa and the party na pam no
okay
but we na on one ka say da bi me di bua mamo me ne mo ntwe madaroma me di ato etim de mo fa mo nipa na so no na aja tu wa resign so that say enti hono obi ampam no na resign baba bi kakra na me no o kan ya na ye me na no eye say ebra man panyida sem o ka che no one unwan man pisuna am assurance say
ye beta wachi na bia de na o kwaji say
odia obaji atum say unko bi mu mpa na se bi odi be man pa wo fra enya ho no cause omu nyina wo ho ana man panyini to mani enu aka say ese kokuam say ye de to ni ma enyu ntum odia ka che me se bi o man panyina ma me nem kwadweno na nka sa ko hu nuanam se da bi minyanum opese mo boa me ba seni esrem mo ase na mo de mo yemfa mo nipa na bia se 2 days 3 days bi kwa from mpanyin da mo kamate atum etim ko ma resign enti uhwe ne nsem na ebe ma onwan mo ma ka se beta da chi no mo di yawo
ewo mo
enu ta yuji ahen mo start no mo ye na bi se we say fans kan fura tanko so let us say gabi mo ne sankofo na tenase
and my plan is so mu you of Kyei Mensah Bonsu.
And at that time so no na a friend say we Justin Kodua.
Yeah.
Now no so what o meet na say. So by identity ye no dey call Central Region.
And what chire mu say na asa hoden no.
Na opeti no.
Da enni ho no
na
sa.
MPP party no fa no mo hoden. Apart from Central Region. Se be mo hoden.
Na Central Region kwa tumi mo.
That can 50-50. Will you vote a few on including Northern Region 50-50? Northern Region, I want you to say, pay to be deal. One day, now, Sabini Power, you know, Penasama, and you talk about the amount. But a Central Region pay.
Don't make you make him say MPP.
And now, what they said for you, can then become a crowd talent was a good job, Antema, or by any seat. But Region Second, and this is all the catcher say, your friend say, because party no akofo mo Central Region and one fan Western Region
and vote akwere munya
yes
so what for so I personally think say secret bi wo hono ma sa secret no mu ntumi mfem ma bonte and then Osei Kyei Mensah Bonsu all this one ma bonte ambekasa this time now oba bonte abekasa no ehun hia
oh ba sebe on say one thing say okan ntema ebe ade foforo sa ne beto aba
ebia ne se sisi a wo kan ye akwafofa nsem bebe na che se ase de edwuma ne de na nka wo pe na ya de a wo ye na wo bo ho moden en wo makota bi ma fanyo market free hi de na ba be si ho no epuepu a won saje wa de papa bi free wo
me no be ya we se utim fa fanyo market en compose Kyei Mensah Bonsu
eno de
ye kan nyansam se ye nya de parliament ya o man bia and a political wise no men
say wo
so that's it
by Kyei Mensah Bonsu call parliament na afenyo we
o say enema bu wa ho ya de say na manfo tete say ye say ye mwa region bi mu no say nye Asante region po na eye ba bi a ekuta party na enkra ne metikwan kempi wa
ane eno de
so that's it but no option bia say si enye mfiri ha ba ha dwen so that's adentina according to information menya ye enra na omu ana omu pese omu di party anim kwa na aditwum na na pon kan Osei Kyei Mensah Bonsu Alan Cash na omu de omu se da bi achemfo ne ye afrim tiemfa Osei Usume kan ana boss abesa me awuku ba omu wie san panfo ye nyina ebi mu kamera fom din na omonfe no
na eswa ole MPB owo I think thema ono kra no ka ho mewe finidi nice beautiful lady bi
na ya lady na bibi
yeah no kra
na omonfe swa by na omun se da bi se ye ka se de ma Ashanti region
ebebo party no
ana mo se da bi ye mfama nipa wo for de ma Ashanti region for we animate because Ashanti ne di ye ana achim bae so that say boy party so ya Ashanti achim ba achim kwa no hwe history no kwa den kom kan ho yes ana be force wo enti say the dia ene yema asante for no be di akire niema no de for me di anim
na wan pa na ka kire wo say no de na no de ne be obedi nkunim
on say ade a spiritually no ade empanyfo emfa we ndc for main June 4th no enya faton so mo ye June 4th a na ron say wo magya ya no mo ye June 4th na we dey we ne see so mo ya o manga na sesa eye niema emugyaguo sacrifice na me kokko so sa atam no enye bi ni o ase ye afanya me 70 afanya matra won ba ade a obi edikanfo do mo mogya ebi ma wo ho se mi wu o sa de wi ho ama party na gina odisa kantamo honhom ye adwuma na obeso sesa na embo enu nte du bebe na na kufa no wo bre no cause of a party say ne dia enra say me ni party mpanyimfo bi hia awo ile di oye adwanu e fa na sempo vapia no hayai MPP panyin na wa Ashanti region no parking car wo koto aduane ni bi wose wo fadan so ha adwen pa mo se ayi kwaso na TV for se da boche for fasi ti hwem tie mu no wo ya stubborn pa na so ayede eni nya de sere no so dika kufado ba o mielu so nya kufado o kan ni preach me mamiti mu ni di o so mu ni bi bia dada be utimi o baye bone o tige so yu ba ma se ye mfa banko tum ti o se o defend o party
wo kufado ya kufuo kwa wo ka chen so ne running ne vice na emmom nko na wo de ba ne sen na wo de wo kwa wo ntam ne mfa ne nhye wo kire mpentoma bi enfembo mu na mu mienu na mo pak mu kuku ne mo nkaka na mo nko na chinchina na bawomia na yesi wo mu kopie mu oboko kura bra mo ye campaign kura bawomia na nkasa mu guan wantumi enwura aboko boko ho sensem ya bawomia na mu na ntumi enwura aboko
wantimi
ehon ina no wo nya hwe
sensem ho
Kennedy etumi ra ho no mti den na che se sanka modi onu ni sinche na modi obefoforo ba yanka emmoa
on se asamno dia no odin na on se sa ntokwa si boko no me pe history bi obi ka che me ne ra bi no akwa bibi ho so da se akwa se nipa bi wo wa na omosi achire ya panyin prominent person bi no yo manima na e kan e bo man de o kan no o kan on e course we na certificate back on semre bi ebra kofo na yire oji se ne wan ye bibi se ne bibia university wo ni kromu no MPP form tieni nim omo bass no omo kon no yesi obi afri bass nim sa do me campaign no amane kaba omi anko a then na koso e bass nim tama mo kwa ba omi asi omo si obia mo stop bass na trans se vice se bass ni na obi ansi de eni pama se do tie say yes amasa the mo me kan you sorry I'm sorry yes amasa I'm sorry not it not happen again sa na no work but for no work no omo tie no nya se omo mpanyin na frɛ no na bibia si wo boko
asem
omo program ni e ma o boko ana obi fa akire ti se bia hye hande se na ya be say bibi say aya atesemo yes atesemo yes there been this how ebia na ya major for dance program ya ma se be ye as a showdown host kukomu na dani no kan si o tamu ni nyanso na for chi ya kaka kire ebia offense Kevin me na baba jamti ayabra na se on the me se na de sa eti bibia e wo ho dada ya pefura kan to se nyabotransa ma bibi nsi ansa it's alleged
ana ho prepare akofa we
ni obi koma order obi ma order just one phone call pe ma order enti o ma order we no na start ya sa na manema we e ko so boko ni adade enti what means wo
asemo
ayasem kwase pa
na wo fadan sunti MPP akona ni ye nim kufuo time nti ye be san be fa ne ntuma pe frani
ana me catch o ye be Esther me catch off air say seminar MPP fo a me attack Mahama NDC da ko adena esi no ebi si de ehu che bibia o se wotena se na mo radio stations ya e kasama mo TV stations ya ma mo de mo bie abane ba on krosu no eti adenti ni yemfa sa platform no emfa cheche de ntema MPP foko opposition
na yenja ntokwa no na wochina na Kennedy fo ahwo ha na odeche na bawomi afo ahwo ha na we ya yesei no we ya yesei me tumi show mo am si inti ngwafo inti figure ya mo amunya ye ntiri mo ankasa mu ne mbo mu ho anase opposition na mo wona em de as opposition no wo mani je mo say
how mo so mo opposition
sa de no ma bo anu bo mo bedi manache
na fence me ko baby me ko kwada so Junasi market enra na Michelle dibi no mama off ti me do one am mama so de nansi a wo bai waka
wo bedum light
wo man se bra me pa chobra ana me kono se ba chaw me se transe am transe was me sirawo men fan she mahama yinim de ku fodo ye yinim nyina enne muntima dada Ghana phobia me so ba me politician yo no se de mama nkasa obada bai me talk about my MPP and I lady ni the card. Or you member with a membership card MPP. No was me card ni. But I go for the year na ni. Enti sene mama bana dum so abanyo na ye yo. Do ko ye no ye papa na ko ye no. Was ye okas papa. Ye papa yes o ka uzi was papa. Papa ko ye no.
Adu show boy.
Aha.
Ona ko fa we na.
Enti some TV so na mudi mama tem ase muna mumu yehu ase mumba ba munya mfunso be na Ghana fo hu ne nto ba mfantia mo anase mo na muja to wo se mama ba fa no nto aso na bia mo sa beje ma de bibisa o bibisa na ase bibifo adenti na mo mfre mo mpanyin fo mo constituencies ni nyina nhia na mo ma mo TV station radio station na ka mo no mo ntrase una wo ya chairman den na ebunu region 12 seat enya ba kope na abronya akanto uwia region organizer wo ho even say woman organizer wo ho secretary wo ho obi bia wo ye onimu bia no yiva tip ko no ye interview
ko grassroots no mo ko di nko ma na anto aba because Vincent tafo MP so no obekasai o so no call grounds ebisa wo mo even da kra no mo to aba no kra no edu say na was wo ko ho no nko pa wo mo chew say me srem ye papa mo de mo nko na mo nko to aba and people were complaining bitterly and ye bre ne ye ko di awiem ne ye to aba mo at the end of the day ye ho kire ye nkra na mo moa yen ye to aba de mamu wia no makotena nkran Mama constituency ni so gramba hwe de ekoso ba wo de fa wani hwe Nana Addo ya Ashanti regional minister ya yi ni hwe adwuma brante ne bo hwe
Franka Makohene
Messi me to me nam TikTok na me hwe papa ya Messi ene Simon Osei Osei Bonsu de
na someone say nam ene makoshirawa
bo wan kasa
ene makoshirawa Simon kemako awie senka e wo
emre bi e wo ba wo yere pa ema yi si for me be chiachia nom chese as o tetin hu de egu wo mo so na so sha young guy ya yi ni I just want to say bibia to see ha no ogina ho no enye MPP for ma fan kokora fa party the be dia fa na ntuma pefra
sa ablante so the say suban we ya was start
it was what
the ko 4 years enya minister bia mo ka chese akwande o president pe
oh yes
president yes
so far appointment John Dramani Mahama ye nyina wonu ni obi amitu chairman
no Central Market
he's ready to serve
of course Central Market na class o si form and one jojo obi a o ba won chen no so munya wote be siesie munya betese obi a
this is whom we call a leader
na I consider your mo commensia yi na police for soldier for ni security service pay for ni na immigration for na salary na omo ba chiachiam sanya ye hu Simon Semen se na osi ye ne nyema oh what you be kama na wa hage o kama na wa yesi no mu nyina
the man is very down
oh massa
so what the side
na ile se to be yeso
oh yeah
some kwa na shia but
what that so to me they say ya kwadia trust me say Ashanti radio no ho it will get to a time voter MPP benya no what that so me to me the mensa de nkum kra kan
and na one thing say ni Facebook page me no work this me work Facebook yi ade obe bia na de bato
I TikTok krasa bi
obe bia na from catcher let me bisa say na o head there so here offer menye obi o mo yes and man TV ko fia na dwoa na ofa na o kan amanfo issue so mo wo ne bibia na wo hwem na ododot ni nyina de to enti esia no afro setting ne nema to nya trans wo ye nema adwuma sa Frank Amakwan ne babobo no the next NDC omo frag by yes guy no
or very hard working.
Me say 2028 ma man ko bi ma me say
allegedly ma say Joseph Yamina Jalayo
Ojala say
say di bre na no ope
why obey former region minister dey na oyema he na poto lelele forget no kwani ko ani Joe when you benya su
Jala yankasa
onsu
share video wa say otutu bi kra de mane eyi o NDC o say NDC kra mo gododo mo ba ye anka abatu obre ye ti ye se prophet Vitokusi eyi abatu aba na ballot papers bi woni fie ni ade na nka ma friend o ye
obesuelewu
ube position bi na ya fa ma no bi aje
ba ye no wa be ye minister pen
ye hu adwuma biasa
ye hu de oba ye ana sa ye dibre bi kura bi fa so be minister enu kwa ju sa pam ma wo sa kwa de foforo eti wo de ma kono tum ma yempe si wo sunu bi ma wo so e bi krampa DC krampa no se atonsu market ko na sha won sa
wa balance Honorable Joseph Yami asem na ye ke na wo ma na tonsu
do we atonsu market onye nipa
mengas wonye nipa na fada asa wo fada so degrade ni bi say
baby na wo to akase ko hwa to suma ka tiensi aketo
fada so Joseph Yami na sam na mi ken
na wan sam na sam menka de ka bi ansem
oh but
David the time atwam
minister there
ana adwuma branch ne Frank Amakwan hin boy no enya asem kotoa what you say
during election or ebio
ana oyobi a oswa se e ka ne kro pa enya nwoma sua na ya yi a ana nka MPP a enga se wonya nuru ho
MPP de na se wo fada so MPP de nkokora seminar na wo MPP ba 8 years ma bo mi obi e ye man position na no e young guy da wo munye bi de
abrante oba hai Camel akon wo nyansa rof
ondru
sanka wo yendi sinyi pa na bo yi pa
wo fada so na se ye nteki ke a wo hu 2028 ebe ye den say ye benya young guys and I say young ladies wo be join MPP because wo mahuni say NDC no nya bo ho moden eye sincere wo na wo mo ba power benya position but MPP ni de wunya bi I just wa ba akokra just wenya sister plus wunya sister plus their position no wunya ndru honom it will get to a time MPP wo mo pe young lady and I say young guy say wo mra meye bibi wo munya bi and then one a woman koden edema NDC nyina no John Dramani Mahama baye she positions or they show women and they deserve it because they are hard working they deserve it so MPP there be okra semna woman ko so amede nanka matena fie sisi 2 months mu ne minim sanka anya hwe no mahua bibia firi mu but 2 months impo na munya enu mo hui sisi aka John Dramani Mahama aka ne 3 years 7 months na just say na mamoda bana wieye 3 years 7 months yet to work kwaasa sa na amra hwo na Ghana for said wo mkokromoti akoto aba and if you people do not learn from your mistakes and you keep on repeating the same mistake na mo sa be ye blaming games ni ade a fashion wutire mu say 100 percentage na munya 2024 no ye be chemu mienu de munya 2024 no ye be chemu mienu ni yamamo half. People are still feeling pains in them with the weird Nana Addo Fado. Handle economy no. Mube mo be radio stations ni TV stations. Ka mube educate a man for no derby. Mube Sholiano pa betena so a kokwasa ne didi ateme ko chi ko breme nyina no. Na mo amudi mo party mudi mo ho atem.
Na asama kokwa na amaro obi ka che me se ofa dan so. Se na ye show MPP project nyina Ghana for show na so.
Project ni bi wo hono man ye nya wie yes na na no pentem akohin sa no wo gidan yo wo di nwam ni kan wo bi e
sa agenda 11 you know say ma hu say
go from Vincent go from the nurse we wi
ma hu say enya no mpo ma hu say we say gawe ayi health minister economic takando o the touch o the phone pona o the aso light
baby wo hono ma why are we ni ade nyina
na say no na we say we wi
Ebi watere de won ho fada nso ko bi ho no. De wo fada nso ye.
Akwasi chetia. Ana make no so fada nso ja kofa bi de vivia ya wiem sakwasi. Kuma wo de ko mo nya operate you akwasi.
Ko mo ya da ne NDC green book no.
O ma da ndada. O ma da ne ewie o mo de. Kwasi chetia. Mse kwasi. De wuye. Akwasi so je. Menkasa mse kwasi chi.
Mi so fa ba ko pa na metumi e me se abo mebu aka se we there it is finished. Na finish na
yes, $470 million. And I say wo. Omunwie yo.
Crow from
Omunwie.
Crow from.
Ai, e mo force ye munwie. Ye nwie.
Asemo.
Ye nwie. Sika o ma je di kwa.
Party.
Na ogi sika di wantima anya be no aweni aba. Enti me mate nipa no mi kasa wo se omo bomba se ba omia be wo se ba omia de ni hunya se. Nam se ye ne kure.
Ba omia.
O ne hunya se bet papa no. Da oluman no. Ani mo mpanyimfo no obi tifi se Kumasi ani.
See why the West Coast MPP ni mu as obi ba o ni oba found ni pa.
O say na say the party so muska. The ska party won individual
Nana Addo mo an security say o mu ntemti no the next person e be ba no agi say Nana Addo na SI
papa na ye no so was on active politics bi de papa na ye no woni pe bia akono bi na wana den baba this okofa chimi ni be na ba gabi anase kanfurata anase osoro anase boss abesa meuku wan anafanya markings
afanyo na mruye
oh there me say
Brian Champon
say me wan Brian Champon
Brian Champon your former education minister
educhum
de no ho akonno na me kunu na podi amesrɛ mu ami amehwɛ no wate
me say
me amehwɛ ma
man na don fa no
ko bo bieti
onya
campaign kura du amani megina platform
onya mu bia nya na de na do anya sekofo e be to ba na be kasa no ma sa awe
asemo
ai
MPP
na onim say o mpani kofo na yiri wuye no say okokofo is allegedly okokofo ho a na ye MP na ye minister na okokofo na ko di be 10 minutes kwa na ya se na police mi no guard kofo woni masa information na makofo ado woni kofo di nkomo cha oba ya na ya ji ya se be ji ministry ya ye funse
ehura sa
hwe enti de di mahama fam ye ntwenka de sente de kofo na mo wasa be to bodim ka be campaign
say ja ba omi onu
ba omi wona de ho ba omi onye onfa ba obi bia ma bia ene omo ne
ba omi ahu ye na mobo fada so be ne de
dabi enipa na onu no ye leader na onu no that or ye president no ono wo ti aduma ho so ye nyina su ni na se kofo yiru ye na okoche kofo ye MPP ni na o ye minister na okoche na wo koche so no kofo mfo koche kuma di nkomo
di nkoma obeba na je se
tamo da so se tell me say bro so a say o ka na mabia ni kwa say o ka ene o ba ye se ba ji ministry appointment difference
kai se peni bi 2 year for Nana Addo ho ne nso abushi
ono ne 2 year fo na ne 2 year fo na
mi dem mo bi edi
fo na ne 2 year sa kwa no
obi 2 year for Nana Addo ono ya endio ade ya no but amafukusu ado MPP party no so mo ye wo mo ne ma ye ya 2028 dey ye promising ma wo mo but e bia 2032 mo se Ghana nkasa no ye wo bibi se acha 8 years bia ro ho befunu yen wo bo edwuma wa ma edwuma because Kufuor time 2008 Kufuor wa ma edwuma
so
Kufuor bo edwuma yes na nke yes but se Nana Addo be wini 2028
na nya Kufuor ne Nana Addo ana obi am ye hu o me hu Nana Addo suban asa ne ba beto abampu ana wantene say ende se wo ka Ghana bakwese ma obi aba mamu abubu oman amana ya akono a e be ka se kwa me nkruma to so yen Kufuor
no am Rollins di
na say ye mo ro o mo se Kufuor kwa me nkruma asempo na Rollins na atamese maba Kufuor tamo no de ka se aba bi baba diska no ebi ko so ba na komo ne ye nya di sika chiesi nipa because me tiwa sesi ye ya me ba adwuma yi se boso so ntwe me ka me sia biem me mfa ye fopa mbeta me kasa
ya bi
enti nyi fees near school no and enya digital asem o eya adwuma ye economy no na me tie yi na me koto abetie 7 cities mienu 14 cities beto na me say gobena sabi ye import gari mfa bochirema ye bank na awia se pebe ya enso beto ya ebe sei na yakoyam atwi ne an gari ne dia ba na me koto bie dia ma nyi 20 Ghana 30 me ya bank ye import bank mfa bochire Ghana ha ya ne do no Now be catch me say digital that be come here. The mama for trouble take for the day. Mama tam na ukuta tensi na betanya adwane adi agensesa. Ye nyina yinim. Go be ne nusa level no. Ene price na ne yede gino. Cassava ne nusa.
Ene nkrado kono ba
mo uba ye timi ntohwe.
Asemu.
Uba ye Nana Addo ba ye no ye timi ntohwe. Ene ma just agensemo. Ana ma oman ne ye bre. Na ye do ma hye won sasa na egu oman. Yenye ne sa. Enti o hwe de cross na ya Ghana for the trouble na. Se mahama emma ne ma ba fom. Dollar ne ba fom. Aduane ba fom. Bibia ba fom a me kan bibia se
20 me aban bia wo fa 8 years ne de ye dan ya aban bia ba obetwa 8 years me minim say 2028 NDC be win 2032 MPP ne be fa eno die
and they say me ba say ye bia from we e say first for time we go the after to nya sasa vet enya vet po say vibe teacher for tom to totoye ko for time enti otimanya 3000 and then 2000 akwato vibe mono no them will be teacher ni be the can ona makan nurses no the kasim enti ni paneje ena ma bonya de
teacher ni wanantia na na to nyina
na ye kana mu di atam bi before be di atam sa na mo ne se mo ofie
Wafana so yenko newspapers ni mu the Daily Statesman. Na Daily Statesman no obehu Nana Addo dankwa Ekufuado ni mfoni se ebo nom na omo se Ekufuado responsible for exchange rate stability. Saso ena John Dramani Mahama ye mampeni wono so ni mfoni ebo asie honoma eche se ye mampeni she Ghana foni na abo
I'm out for shares here now. You see, please, Swami Agenda One Hospital was commissioned by Nana Addo and his MPP with that NH table, nothing was there. Empty rooms.
Empty rooms, Angaza.
I'm watching you from Bantima constituency or in IC.
Zentana mekaze mini baby na ye mampeni so sanu obese Ghana for nyina hu ni say wo kwa ejuma because the commission upon the commission ebusua na edro sododo na ye nyina ye ebo na ba so na hwu be kom no na che say ye tontro wadan ne si hono ma bibia enihu agenda 111 ye na ya commission agenda 111 me say de wo take kwan su pe eno pena metumi aka se midi mani ehu amehu se equipment ni ade ewom se we hospital MPP voice wo mu finish ye because John Dramani Mahama ebe ko fie ni green book wo so owie ye president former president kufuo so ene chance ye national no ade ye John Dramani Mahama be pie mu Ashanti region o hye wo mu nyina abo se acha sa afi we nko na wie ye no na se we hospital no wa finish di amaye
nana me ba cho fasimana fasikana esima akesima be so edu wotwe Esika no busi sika po. Simana. Simana kari.
Wafada nso. Ye buswa wa the Daily Statesman. Ghana for.
No, obi anga so mi ka number. Obi mi di nyina. O MPP ni so bet tra mi se ba.
The Daily Statesman ya ba bedi she Ghana for nyina bo se wo ba je se nyuma ni ade de obebie e de amaye nso ni foni a ebo honom na eche se YAP beneficiaries nyina no e ya de a ya pam wo mo se wo mo nkofie na wo mo nkope baby enda saso energy na posho ni foni eda ase honom a eno so ese Jinapo calls for clarity on proposed gold board. Wafada so ye mre yanka gold board the number sanka ye discuss but ebusua akonya the Daily Statesman graphic na uko page 2 abehun se story no eda honom na wakenkan de amayen yen free the Daily Statesman mu na yen kopie mu wo Daily Post me de mo ekode a chese MPB ena nyame aye na dom ena wetumi akwakoye adoye ena wo kire se eba ne se obeba be ye mampani pa de on de obetumi aka ne se ye divine call enye wontumi nsole preko ben kasa mpese me be ye MP on do hu ni say ye divine call lankasa eno nti no eyade achese wa ma award 1.3 million Ghana cedis to 302 tertiary students. So and we are poised to implement outcomes of economic dialogue. MIDA boss your finance minister Ato Forsen wono so ni foni eda hono man wo sure no wo she Ghana fo nyina bo se economic dialogue there wo ba be fa se natural kronkron anopa ewia ene anadwu nyina no ade ekoso man Ghana nyina no wo be ma ya so etumi atibisa so na niema bi achesembre bi atwemu ekopie mu ewe ye parliament outside till date yen shada nim nipa wobi na no ekache Senator Rollins say a daughter of a murderer shut up and then sit down. Sabe me no ka say chese volta diaspora for enrada na wo mu ye yire kese pa na wo mu do match ya kopie mu parliament house say wo mo hwa say nipa no make that statement no wo mu betumi atwe na so mame fam nko the daily analyst me dem ko dia daughter of a murderer comments Bagbin gives 1 week ultimatum to corporate Alban Bagbin speaker of parliament was nipa wo make that statement no dia one man or achala watch back ope one wankasa mbra bonte na wo be confess one ma bonte ama me confess dia dia wo mu wankasa wo mu be you know de na ba abonte gift your warren sure wono de Ghana fo nyina no ye di dibre share nsa ye ni ba ye ho so no na 263 ghost names na shoboshumi bia no na kakrawa ekwo wo mu botomen de obehu ukofa register na be nkwabrane 80 years 90 years 72 years ni ade nyina no at the end of the month ni bia no waje kakrawa no de gu ni botom a je say ye declare no wanted ye so hye no hefa no afa ni ade ye nya ne tie se wakwa akopie mu ewo obi memu sabe ya me no ka say de wa ba be pie mu ewo o my Ghana ye hye ni mu se obekwa akopie mu mpelifo nim na wo mo atoto nanom saso energy NASSM backs gold board gold hun sensemi Ghana National Association of Small Scale Miners Wamsio, Wamudia, Wamuji Tumuye, Papa, say gold board, ya just a gold bond, yes, Siano, ya seti, a idea bet me Baba Bua, my Ghana, na yet to me who you go there, one hand say, na shon for sure, one hour woman to gold, no be the ko be me money a day in Nasika was say, woman ya any idea in our woman, I'm sure I'm for show, and Kasami Famon feed the daily analyst, young copy what the Chronicle show at the no bagawaya NSA Iron Lady touches town. Yankasa ya mami gift your warrior na meka na asemi. Ni mfoni na eda hono ma chese ukoje the Chronicles and krata ya. Ubetimi akenkan ensema ewom. Chief so the kokobaka si apadi ya ma ministers awamu wa Ghana say fighting against Galamsey no mayembe ye na wewo ye MPP nin wo ye NDC ne debi yemfa ye nine offensive for mankasa na ye make sure say ahemfofo any ministers ni ade nyina no wo meka wo mu abom se ba ko wo mako Galamsey ya ese yensuo ene yensa so energy na ponso foni eda hono ma I think said the Daily Post no me church mu ede emam no yenko the new center mandate of gold board not clear Jinapon ono shufoni da hono monday was still na gold board ya wo mate ni ade wono de woni nchirechire mu bia nti wosre NDC amanyokuo no led by his excellency John Dramani Mahama so womra na wo munsa so embe church nsemu ye na Ghana fo nyina no yentibi electronic money issue chamber condemns attacks on mobile money agent na say wo betia ne say ya show ababa we bi how ye mobile money bi ya tu ni tuo ade ba che obati ya se abrantie bi ya di tuo chese sire so age ni sika ni ade nkrofo a wɔn ebie mobile money adeɛ bi no wɔn kasa no wɔn srɛ sɛ nneɛma akyɛ sɛ ɛkɔ so nansen wɔn man Ghana yɛbɔ obi tuo yɛdwe obi sika ne adeɛ nyinaa no ɛnya adeɛ a wɔn ɛba bɛfoa so saa so ɛna arrest of former officials must be civil and loyal ɛyɛ afɛnyɔma case akɔgye the news center wobɛhu nsɛm no ɛwɔ mu n'agya wetumi akenkan bi yɛnkɔ the daily guide yɛkɔ daily guide nso agifti ɔware mensa ne mfoni ɛbɔ hɔ nom ɛno nso ɛkyɛ sɛ nyame adom wɔba bepie mu ɛwɔ man Ghana kyɛ sɛ nkyɛ kora no wɔbɛkɔ akɔpie mu ɛwɔ NIB for nsɛm n'agya wɔn atoto na no saa so na daughter of Medra ɛnso ho nsɛnsɛm yi a medikan akyerɛkyerɛ mu ama mate no and so Alban Sumane bag being phony eda asie hono ma wono so kyerɛ sɛ nipa waka asasɛm no wo make sure sɛ wo beyi ne ho anu ana so ono ankasa beba abonti abeka sɛ me ana me kan ye ansa na wo mu de ebufuo eyi nanim ama Ghana fo nyina no yehu ye free daily guide ye call Ghanaian Times ye call Ghanaian Times Public express hope for better Ghana. Woman Ghana nya 68 years. Eyade Ghana fo nyina no yegusua ebo mpai se bibia betumi akɔso wano no man Ghana so etumi afa ne ntoma pa efra. Eye foreign affairs minister eye ablok a wono so de nsema babonti a wo kyerɛ se yenuano ma wo mo kɔ haje ne ade acha kwata 3 months 3 days pe ubetumi enya passport a wo so ubetumi edi etukwan yakobo mpaye ekyere eye Allah ye free the Ghanaian Times a yenko metro lens Ofanko in Sawom Rose deterioration reaches crisis point. Ebano in Sawom any Ofanko kwani de ebushia in fact eyade ha adwin ye papa se wo firi honom no kwa se mfuturo no contractors no ma fa kwan so a be 2 years ni kwan ye nwie da na asa edwuma no so edile cause a lot of accidents nti ye besre ye road minister se wodi nani ebekɔ honom na wetumi ahwɛ they are my blows in Parliament over Sona debates. So na gives to Osei Kyei Mensah returns to Ghana. Yanko the informal. Yakwa informal moi 2025 budget minority vows to reject new taxes. Eye minority no eye MPP amanyoko mo parliamenters wo mo de wo mo say enya de a wo mo ba beji atumu say NDC aban bo sha wo share no wo ba wo betwa e-levy mu ne betting tax mu ne ade nyina no wo mo nka wo mo anu ntum number on fa new taxes but new tax no wo de ba wo mo no wo mo bebo egu na mo ye ahia mo ba bebo ade egu sa so ena stika so mfoni ene bo hono ma wo no so threaten MPP was here and send me an annual day mo na mo sie se makwa akotena bebi na ndie makwa akwhwehwem ne ntia MPP amanyokuo no every year wa ma me constituency wa me bo wa me ka bebi aba abonte ba begumani masin hono abo Osei Kyei Mensah Bonsu so one yesterday no wa ma abonten am retract two statement am be pa me chowa ekwan a MPP amanyokuo no fa so wo mu lose 2024 election no eyade a wo no stika wo de beba abonten na Ghana fo nyina so no ya so etumi atibi thieves endanger patients life at Kolebu asemo cut oxygen copper pipes for scrap akron for tetra mo angasa nso no mabo awura ye Kolebu hospital na ndie oxygen copper pipe ma amanfo nya ahoden ma amanfo tumi home mframa pei wo mo akwa adan ya wo mo de kwa akoye alumi ye free honom de a yenko the custodian nso say beware of Wagadre NDC minority cautions Ghanaians minority voice say Ghana for nyina no monye steady papa na NDC for no de e ba na Wagadre ya de just wo mo ya de ewo mu ankasa wo mo betumi the 6 ada na ye 9 sisia and a gold board initiative needs clarity Samuel Abuji na Poma Church mu di amamo 2025 budget will tackle food inflation Bank of Ghana governor free the custodian moon Yanko the daily searchlight. Be bold and speak up against injustice. Ye man penning His Excellency John Dramani Mahama Nymphoni ena eda hono ma ndi wo kacha sofofo nyina ne se munjina brane ema munka manu ntum so obi pese wo tete ana so obi pese wo tena mo fan wudie so a moka manu tum de ene na ebekwa akwaye de MPP for ede eye mu ni bi abolish the Council of State ukopie mu ewo oti regional oti so yitimemufu ewo honom se wom the Council of State no gran wom hunjo vajo bia enti wom sire ye papa say it should be abolished. So na people of Chamber installs new youth TV yeah that Fidelity Bank support New Horizon Special School with donation wom so nyankopon ensure wom ye papa enti wavadan so ene de nkrata no de eba ye nom ena mabobo so ede amayetiefo ene yahwefo nyina
medase nyankopon shira but yahwe na wo ka bibi se ti se ozi gold board no
gold board no gina podie waso ono no won ti ase wonim de gold board no eba beye but me hu Sami Jemfi me hu ni interview a wa church mu se na small scale miners no ka bibi se wo mo de wo mo fo so nti according to Sami Jemfi ni church mu a wo de baaye no na o ka se emprepi no one o me small scale mining no wo se wo mo licenses a yetumi edit gold no but emprepi no equipment ni ade ne kwan ye wo sanko mo fa so mo handle gold no entumi enko ne saa enu ntini gold ni de wetu o at the end of the day na bia Ghana hanum se ya no betumi aton ama obi ba wontumi nkoton emfa ma obi owo obi memu saa na chese o man Ghana nkasa so no ye hwiri sika nti saa gold board wo mate eyeku a wo mate a wo mo hwe se wo mo betumi ehu kwan a ebe fa so o man Ghana ye gold a nyankopon de dum asasi ye betumi enya so mfa so
enti gold for oil no ya Ghana fan shede enwo hwe na sabi ombeka che se omo de gold ekwosesa oil no ene obi si ya si biaye bia momutu Galamsey ni ade ni gold na ade no ahoba ye omo sector na so matena ya omotumi aba ne no mabayi adwuma na bia de o qualify ne ahwe abo ade bia o se oye ni ye no ene ma mo de sika se mo de kosa oil ne ya nwu hwe na still na no na fu ekosoro no sabi enta me kan say baabi a adu no mese ye nuanon eye MPP for no Ghana for no sabi sade en atwam he se wo obande na odada no wa ama no be ma wo fa hia no odada no ama no hwe he na niti
yeah
wo start ya okase possible mba cho me mpem na da asem na
yes kwase afwa
international mo no akansa akire enti se wa opposition a kwonu tum mo ye bia ye west
yeah
dan we enti oba oni sika wase mate gold board enti ebedi gold wudwa anase bia gold nusi se bia no wona wo but oni finance ministry ne ba be kan bom so na ye oye former lands ministry minister mewa na fe sa good for oil na ba homi ade ba initiative ne ko sisan
wo gina pon be so wo kire se ka me akwa se yate no ya do sododo na Minister of Lands and Natural Resources na shon fa so ne sei Minerals Commission wa mo shon fa so ne sei na Minerals Income Investment Fund wa mo shon fa so ne sei na Bank of Ghana so wa mo shon fa so ne sei asisi an wo mo nyina wo ho no ma wo mo so adwuma ne sei wo mo be hwe se wo man Ghana ye gold ni ade nyina no emu be ye dru na ye ton de ama obi owo obi memu a tumi aboa na sidi ne nso no etumi aba fom dollar ne nso etumi aba fom na sidi ne nso mu aba ye dru nti saa ne me ye amabobo shu na nko wo mo wo honom na sisi an de na ba ye sisi de gold board foforo so na ndc
na go for the minister send appointee wo
question for
one sector na minister best 4 deputies in count omo be ye den the same adwuma no one adwuma na ministers best 45 reform sector ya kwisibuafo akufo create demand no e dey for so nya free so
nya for so bia
kwisibuafo take husband family TV so ni other social media o tech super mahama from 2015 to 2016 ya trouble wiye ya create reform sector e the man no e man sika call Rwanda se onko sua ho ne ma no mfa mra no oba radio su kasa be kan ye ala ko Rwanda we press Rwanda for me wo bi da ti se bro kire we ontimi amfa pen anga se me ko we na mti ya mabaye pen a Rwanda for na ye ya ntima ko sua pen mo menya ne Ghana esika kusibo afo enti jira pona mane ne se mo ye de chensei we ne confuse Ghana for
Ghana nkasana afo sade ba ko so e ma Ghana ntumpo ni se minority or majority woman him say ade a osimesi anaso obentin dey be e ya ade e betumi abo o man Ghana but e san say enye party ba komu na e san say adwen no enko baby ba ko de ene mama meka bibi no obi ehu ni say me show me kasa but at the end of the day no
ye nyama na isame jamfi mahama so so omu feli aya na toba ma omu Ghana fa se be toba etie omu etie se na momo ye tuti amono no ye tuti amono no anti monko Nana Addo otimi ponte one sector ministers best obi ba ye ya ujan kasa masa jinapo yesiro Nana mahama okusua nyansa sebi jana hwe no anko ya yensa nyo for be kanya no so ka
anko ye kra next 4 years
Ghana to ba ya say maka chambi NDC for
enya kasa bebre sa mo ma ya fa ye ni nhwe na wa fada so cha na Ghana enya sen
68 anti anu say no die in the measure say yes celebrate ntaja
inti Ghana 68 pa ya bra boni nti ba fani
say bo fu fi no wadi da wada
so na ba fani 68 years
but I think second
68 years na still na yet gold border man for so mo ntiase Ghana 68 years just amafu guswa ti nkurase ya wo muhua de ebi nya board mpo just ya
ade ba kwa meka chess amejam fini say baby e to go do bia yemfa a ho hospital e ho ensuo omo toilet omo kwan infrastructure bia o se ye market police stations yefa ni nyina masa nkofo ti say an go to Ashanti ti say Nimot Ghana takofo no anwa mutu go do yemfa wo nyina ma wo mu ko ye sia no akwantu nhwemu aya kan de mo baka ye say ye no ske ye nya kura no ba bia enti yemfa ti say kesonwa kwan eko events Kenya sig sabu afuriji woni nyina no ebe benefit sa Nimot for no omo hospital omo bibia omo market bibiom na so besi na aban no ye wonsi eni hwe omo de ye japade amaye so ukosunwani a ese omo betubu o afisipa ene techre hwe ekwan a Nimot for pa adavete free teche kronum akoto na chi mame se kanam so a asenya kampo na utim yo Nimot for no komaye no ho no eni 6 months you mutima yakwan from atotonsu ekobe dom passe enu 6 months lati bo ho bibia enti adenti ne mfa ye sanne mane nyina nse omunsa na ne abane mom nka to mom fa Ghana for na nchomu kaye na omunya adwan fa ma oman no na nkakaka ba mbenya no yemfa nye ba bia yentu gold no so yemu wi a nya de region se bia sunwa be na ko sa sunwa account techiman na da show munsa na nkomo ye okwan enso be bia omodwuma no na
bia ye to go kra wo mo mpo no
ahwo wase me say e ba ka no be 20 years no come be si Ghana san ko fun mo sa mo to go Galamsey no eni sa gold no na me we dey me da se yem face na
wo fa dan so men so me da wase ye papa
okay ye nua ba na ya na de enkatam nsem ba ye sori sui o so la kwedi eja oni to eka bapon before ba I may take some day and before kasa na me bo fua mo kasa me bo fo mo ye nua be man dobe Kevin e wa ha e be kona afia mana kwaba enche Rosina Krantima here MPP communication team member Ashanti region mame sorry movement for change Alan Cash Baba Beka yensa enche bia na Kevin aye NDC communication team member opanyin e wa ha Kevin akwaba pajama ko fulma me wadaroma na ho ye de nyame adom pese bi ekoye de de ready asepa de sia ekose
ya ba be mu de ye tutu niama nsa ye be chere MPP for say yesi bu oman ye de oman show monsa for the last 8 years omo dru oman ni bu ye bibia ye basa afi Nana Mahama Oh yeah, visionary leader was Abebim. He is coming to reset the country, make the Ghanaian people feel the hope. Say we are on a restoration path. We can feel involved. You to know will play a very critical role. You know, as you can see, in the last 53 days I assuming office, we've been working. I should say you can even bear as witness. You know, yeah.
Okay, by Nana Addo Ochina na yanya 68 years independence nation. Emam panyine say yante say enkane no. Say ni ebodwa wo region bia na nkura goose park so na wi ahwu mo no. E cost a lot. Says ke betimi na de foforo amoman no. Mama sima bako odi emam panyine adwen.
Okay, as we are approaching or we are in the month of Ghana, me African way, say presidents before say baby like we are campaigning or catch Ghana for say when he comes there are some expenses wouldn't he's going to cast the cost of expenditure of the country. Ministries with me I cut it down. It remain ministries from 30 to 23 and all in the attempt of cutting expenditure. Ghana, we need schools. I think the last survey by one particular independent research body, or say we have about 2,000 schools still under trees in the last 2024. And some of these monies would be channeled into some of these things. Independence Day celebration, if we are supposed to do it district levels now, it is going to cost a lot. Near any regionals, near any national, it is going to cost the nation a lot. We are going to cut costs. We are going to have it in the nation at the national level at the Jubilee House to cut costs. All is in what the attempt to cut costs or cut expenditure of the countries, as Mahama promised before elections in 2024.
But Oshia says this much in Nana Addo Ochina independence, and then send on Roman Penny between Magana for whom Ochina.
Okay, so as the BIA we all know is a Mahamadi Ebano in terms of communication, Wakwadrimu. He is someone that you can trust in terms of communication, and it's not only about communication. It's also about instilling hope into the Ghanaian people. And when you look at Mahama in the last 2 years or in the last 1.5 years, he's someone who speaks and the youth feels involved. Okay, elections are called 2024. Yeah, you could see the youth involvement in the NDC campaign, in the NDC movement. Wabe presidency, okay, ministerial appointment. Yeah, I think last time na average age of the ministers were appointed was around 49 years. Okay, it is very youthful compared to MPP4 or more appointment age ratio was around 65 thereabout. And, I think that he's someone who is going to bring hope and going to instill the patriotism back into us. The patriotism that was lost under the presidency of Nana Addo. The patriotism the Ghanaian people didn't feel. I can say yanko clean up cry now will be uncle because if you say or minor cry no. No one cares about us. The leaders are enjoying everything to themselves. And, he's going to instill hope and probably set the country on a path of restoration. Okay,
but when say gender means at the criteria, but say terminate a month for contract. What is that? Okay, you see, a man paying a buyer, trouble man of a woman paying. Also, ma you to know Jumaye. Now, didn't want to say Sakibino.
Okay, so the reasons, and I said the NT Mahama, because this is by precedence, and I'm not here to equalize. Say, Abaindia in the past, and if Mahama does it, it is justified. But when you look at the mode of appointments and as a mode of employment, I had the man for it was appointments that it was appointments that came after the January 7th elections, and these are people who are believed not to have gone through the right recruitment methods. And so what the government has done is, and yes, we revoke you, he has placed a ban on their employment only to look through the recruitment method. Say if it was done in a genuine way, say any genuine, then we would revoke it because they were last minute appointment at MPP4 a year. So it is believed, alleged, say or more call for an Akogusa.
Mate ode ye twen Rosina beba na ma men kan krata na eba yen Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, Republic of Ghana, PO Boss ni nyina ewa ha and all regional and zonal coordinators. Ghana School Feeding Program, termination of contract. Was it please be informed that the contract of all regional and zonal coordinators of the Ghana School Feeding Program JSFP are hereby terminated with immediate effect. May I take this opportunity to thank you for your service to the nation and wish you well in all your endeavors. Kindly visit the Ghana School Feeding Program Secretariat for your individual termination letters and benefiting and handing over instructions. Dr. Agnes Na Momo Lati MP Minister, Copy Chief Director, National Coordinating Director, Ghana School Feeding Program, and Controller and Accountant General. Until when you cut ababontia and painful, but maybe a hammock can say a day in a swintina mode a yes, I said. Or more yama or terminating contract. The reason
yes, the reasons are Momulati a minister for women and gender. You know what's she didn't state reasons, but you can look at it, you can rationalize it in the sense that these are the people that when they were in charge of feeding program now all had pictures any infonia. Like school any idea. It was something that you can't write home about. And some of them have track record say this is their allocation meant for food, that they wouldn't use that amount of money or that money allocation for what is needed. And this is a sector reform we are undertaking. We are going to undertake overhaul the sector, putting people, do a better recruitment, putting people who are befitting of the job, who can serve the interest of the Ghanaian students and the Ghanaian populace as a whole. Because school feeding program or more policy documents more, I think that you are supposed to have a certain ratio of your goods you are supposed to, like that are supposed to be locally made. Yes. And over the last 3-4 years, na ND MPP the kind of food that it was nothing to write home about. Last nanu ya mi home picture nibi and a video CB as it was very bad, very bad. Internet is a major sector reform and an overhaul of the sector or more yet, so that we can put in people who can be trusted, who can we can trust or maybe ejumapa.
Okay, but I say Jumade a showdown. I Kumasi online TV, Tick TV and Friends of Ken TV. Jumadi na hwese nya ba Rosina Krantima Yokasadema Movement for Change Alan Kwajo Chamanten aye na alliance no obabeka yensa na fejumadi nso yati ono nso enumasem na yigina abo ma Ghana team akonka weti do comment aba na makenkan ni na nso so ediama na before then no yenim say National Economic Dialogue ekwoso wo Accra conference center na ohwese ne adenisi koye na yegina say na Accra International Conference Center ya empemfoshia ya twatwa fa adwen se ya Ghana esikasem yedwedie mu nsem yenkan yansem yekua ye agric nsem ya kwan nsem yensuo ni nemanema nyina betagina brane na empemfo bebre ne koya omukoti se agina yam na enema bese ensia bi a empemfo hwe kan wasam ye 1 was restoring microeconomic stability enti omahwe ayi sisi se ba ya omani sikasema asabi enyina yie no betime agina ne naso na physical and monetary policies no etima konkan review of the foreign exchange orientation regime no enso betumi aboa ana major taxes reforms ni nyina yade behwe won panfo no hwe se won behwe ayi nsese me biatima koso wo Ghana. Specific recommendations included expanding the property taxes basis, revising VAT structures, and plugging revenue leakages. So, achieving inclusive and sustainable growth, and also agriculture. Share equia kuku nsamuni na manema ye disi kabro manima nyina mpemfoso mahwana omaye ho adwuma, promoting private sector led growth, and also so omahwe na omaye ntotoye ani edwadi a Africa nyina yedi ya ye fe no AFCFTA, and then so mahwe Africa Continental Free Trade Area no omahwe na no so omaka wasam na atumi aboa pa anafi addressing infrastructure deficit, and also so mpemfo no e de gun kata so mahwe na no so omatimi ayantoto yese betia boa ama stakeholders obia tumi aboa ma omano se beti a reset Ghana se ne yankasa yepe na atumi aboa ebiti se eye the Ghana Stock Exchange JSE anafi Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund JIF, and also so much anafi implementing structure and policy reforms. Key sectors such as energy, any cocoa, any ECG. Eti energy ni cocoa beshe say cocoa sema sabi you see they can make it better turn ya demand cocoa so no. Ebeshe na ma ye ni anafi energy sema entimi nyina so yankania ne ade na afon okira so de dum so saa. Nothing to strategic governance and accountability. And in Tiabasana, obi able to katasheye, abano, able to chrono, can in a mekoso and yanasi, either from anima, and also Nina Ekoso, Enra, any Enrachi, na 3rd March to 4th March. I don't know Dom Kumano, and to Mianko Bomose, ya invite you, Mose, Homoso Emrebi. Upon him, ho, Kevin, we can monetize. Jumadie no o hwempemfo ebeka sase a Papa Frank Kijo ebeka sawase ana vice president ye ma men so ekasa ase ana opanyina ye frɛ no ebu taxing also beka sa Mrs Abena Osepuku beka sa David Ofosu Dr. also beka sa ana mpemfo beka ka ho ma minti wadaroma.
Okay, and so me follow program no. National Economic Dialogue. Between 3rd and 4th of this month. Nana was in an attempt to say all the necessary stakeholders, anybody who has ideas, the people who have ideas in the economic sector, so that we can come along. Because as you know, you prepare your budget on the 11th year. Budget reading in Parliament. Since these are things we are taking people's views into consideration. Because NDC, we are listening government, we listen to all sides, everybody. So the kind of people mobile. We had political people, we had the independence people, and we even invited the MPP, but they were not present because they believed they are failures in terms of economic issues. Because Obi Omodenebre as economic messiah so they were unable to show up. And this dialogue was an attempt to listen to diverse views, look at the critical conditions and the situations in the country, so that we can bring pragmatic solutions. Solutions are now policies are at the bar. It would benefit the Ghanaian people, everyone, whether you are a poor, rich, middle class, Obia is included. So that is what the National Economic Dialogue was about. And I think it is a policy. It was a policy promised by Mahama, and he has fulfilled it. It was part of his 120 days social contracts on Ghanaians in the heat up to December 2024 election. So this is a fulfillment of his policy, and not just that, but the Obia Adwentre, we are taking ideas from everyone to reset our economy. Because when you look at the economy, and let me tell you something, one sweet thing is, since Ayeba Abemu and since the December 2024 elections, we've seen a decline in the inflation rates. And these are things that it brings about hope, because currently inflation rate is around 23.1. by end of 2024, it was 23.18, and we've seen about some 0.7% reduction in about 2 months. And so this economic dialogue is supposed to look at and then look at the economic situations, let the Ghanaian know what is happening in the country, and then the pragmatic solutions or ideas we are bringing on board to solve them. So I think the economic dialogue was a well planned out, and I think the arrangement and the organization of the program was also top notch. So that is
okay. But that's it. Enti yema na ebedi yenkomo ewo efia na mame emamu kakra bi efa national economic dialogue na ekọ eso no ewo Accra International Conference Center no enura chi na the vice president mame Professor Ginano Pukwajiman ekwa ase na okwa address nation kwa mafaso a Ghana betimi efra duma kwa dumo na abomi bia akoyi. We say Ghanaians National Economic Dialogue kicks off this morning. And Oba was led by President John Dramani Mahama. The forum will focus on the theme resetting Ghana, building the economy. We went together. Discussions will center macroeconomic stability, economic transformation, infrastructure development, structural reforms, private sector growth, and governance. I'll say a distinguished lineup of presenters, including Mr. Mensah, Professor Ebo Taksin, Mrs. Abena Osepoku, Mr. David Ofosu, Dote, and etc. We shall insight and policy recommendations. The discussion will be guided by expert moderators, including Governor of the Bank of Ghana under the S.Y. Kufuor administration, Dr. Paul Akwa, the Edward Brown, Mr. Joe Mensah, Mr. Felix Addo, Professor K.K. Sapon, and Dr. Emmanuel Akwete of Institute for Democratic Governance, IDEG, with stakeholders from government, business, and civil society in attendance. Today's dialogue is expected to set the course for Ghanaia's economic recovery and long-term growth. Eti ohwe jumadi na necessary bibia no me sure say key points and pain for the peke ya na ombaso mo ye yin say it me implement e betwa mbom no etima kwankan.
Oh yes, of course, because the caliber of people Omoye present in the on the day, there are people they've served under even Kufuor before, Omo served under Mills before, and when you look at 2004, I think that was when we recorded 2011 was when we recorded the best or our best growth rate in the country. Yes, and if these people are coming on board again to bring ideas, I think it is in the right call, and they will definitely bring results to the country. And I think their ideas and ideologies that they will bring on are things that would affect our country positively. Yes, because when you look at even the contribution of the current Bank of Ghana governor, that is Dr. Esiama, the contributions are thereby these are pragmatic things that we take them into account. And I think Honorable Ato Forsen Kesio, he is someone I should say he listens to the people, he listens to what is good, and I think he will sit down with his economic team and they will draft a manifesto that would suit the Ghanaian people, that will bring hope to the Ghanaian people, not one that will take away the hope Ghanaians have. Mahama during campaign Okache say if we have any little hope left in us, and I think say Kiselato Forsen is going to spearhead that in the economic sector or finance sector.
But medase yenu abema dogbe Kevin medase ma yen chance na fi yeni komo Bank of Ghana chese governor no 2025 budget we number take pa inflation, food inflations no etime ba form mamintio simano enum odaroma.
Okay, medase baby ohwe inflation rate of Ghana has here. It is driven by two important factors. That is, one is the food inflation and non-food inflation. And so now, if he says and the food inflation takes most part of it. So in Tinokase, they are going to bring a manifesto out, a budget out that is going to tackle the issue of food inflation. I think it is in the right call. And even there are contributions the Bank of Ghana governor can put in place to look at reducing inflation rates. One of them is reducing our monetary policy rate, yes, which currently stands at around 17%. And, at a point, your monetary rate, policy rate was around 29%, and under that regime, we saw inflation rates hit as high as 54.9%, yes, which was unprecedented in the country. And so we are going to put up pragmatic solutions and ideas to reduce them. And when you look at some of the things that drive inflation rates, some of these things include increase in petroleum prices.
Okay.
Yes, and increment in petroleum prices, as we all know, would affect prices in general. But what we are going to have under a John Mahama governance or government is we are going to see a stabilization in what fuel pricing and petroleum pricing. We're not going to have a situation where fuel prices just rises exponentially. We are not saying that we are not going to see increments, but what we are going to say is, what we are saying is, we are going to have a gradual increment, not exponential increment. And so we are going to stabilize petroleum price increase. And another thing that can also tackle the issue of food inflation is about empowering our farmers. And so when you look at Ghana, we are a country that is we like import driven. We like most of our things to come from foreign. And this particular government is going to assure us, they're assuring us, they are going to make sure that they empower our farmers so that they grow what we eat. And Mahama, during his campaign, also made points. I'm always making reference to that because that is what we are going to judge him at the end of 4 years. During the election time, he told us that if he is going to make sure that we consume what we produce in Ghana, and if any foreign company wants Ghanaians to patronize their goods, then they would have to establish a company in the country, and that is not going to only produce food but also going to serve as source of employment to the youth of Ghana. And so I think when we tackle all of these things, when we look at stabilizing petroleum prices, when we look at empowering our local farmers so that we eat what we grow, and also we look at constructing roads, because at the end of the day there are so many foods in the villages. So many foods in the villages, but the roads that connect the urban areas to the rural areas are very bad. And so when we tackle the issues of road construction, I think we are also going to have a reduction or a stabilization of our inflation rate. And if you look at Fitch reports, according to Fitch reports, in 2025 alone, we are going to have a reduction of 7% in our monetary policy ratio, and that 7% means that we are going to reduce our inflation rate by a whopping 5% by the end of 2025. And like I said earlier, inflation rate stands at 23.8% as at December 2024. In January 2025, it's reduced further to 23.5%, and then in February we reduced by another 0.4%. So another 0.4%. So now our inflation rate stands at 23.1. And so after we've read our budget, cancelled all the e-levies and the betting tax and all of those things, we are supposed to see a further decline in the inflation rate. And we believe Honorable Kyei Mensah Bonsu to spearhead that and cancel or abolish some of these nuisance taxes, as we call it.
Okay, but that's Kevin. But my main question is some article be open, and I said small comment be and a statement to make here a brand now address the nation. I say Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Esiama, has indicated that the upcoming 2025 budget will introduce measures aimed at addressing food inflation, a major contributor to overall inflation, with rising food prices driving up household expenses and business costs. The central bank views targeted fiscal interventions as essential for stabilizing prices and ensuring macroeconomic stability. Speaking on inflationary trends in an interview with Bloomberg. Dr. Esiema acknowledged that the latest inflation reading was higher than expected, primarily due to food price pressures. He emphasized that these pressures are structural and acquired policy action. Last reading came in a little higher, but we think that going forward, if you look at the causes of the inflationary pressures, it was mainly from food inflation. It was mainly structural in nature, and so therefore the coming budget statement, which is about to be presented, should be presenting a number of measures that can contain food inflation. If that is done, I am sure we will see a return to the disinflation path, he stated. Dr. Siama also revealed that the Bank of Ghana's Monetary Policy Committee, MPC, will meet next month to reassess economic conditions and determine an appropriate policy response. We plan to hold the next monetary policy meeting next month, where we will reassess the conditions and take an appropriate decision. Therefore, once we have an appropriate monetary policy stance in place, and then also food price inflation as well controlled, we will begin to see inflation trending back to its target path, he added. Path, yes, into the Omo bibi ntia omonya kukudura omoka sansem se Ghana inflation na se bi nim beba fom enua se omo se enuane sam na ma omane yebre amanfo ntimi di ye ko sikani wa oto ade kwa ntimi ntoni adade ede na yewura Siama governor wohu ya finance minister no so ehu a oma ahye, but this assurance say ebetumi ayeye after see ready budget every on the 11th March, Kevin, ade na won huntia abanada na ehu a asa enya otoso mamu
ofadanso we di enye kasa bebre on say we ye aban a yaye bida wo hwe in 2016 na ye free aban mu inflation rate aye hand over to the incoming government, which was led by Nana Addo. His Excellency Nana Addo was 15.1%. This is a government that we've not crossed the 16% threshold down. And so we know what we see. Yes, it's a blind man so okay, good. And if NDC is assuring us say they would see to it say your inflation rate reduces, it is because they have a certain track record in that regard, and they are going to do it. Because when you look at some of the policies they have in mind, mostly one of the key sectors, one of the key reasons that leads to increase in inflation rates is because of central bank financing. That is when the Bank of Ghana prints so much money in the country. Okay. When there's so much money in the country, everyone is going to be forced to sell their goods at what competitive prices. And so this Bank of Ghana Bank of Ghana governor is going to make sure that there is no excess money in the country. That would curtail the inflation rate, because like we know, if demand is high, then if demand is high, then the prices would increase. Yeah. But he's going to make sure that there's no excess money in the country. They are not going to print excess money in the country to make sure some of these things would happen. And also, when there is money in the country, when everyone is working, when our routes are working, because Mahama promised yesterday he's going to look at the infrastructure system again, and he has a track record. Say he has constructed some number of routes, some good number of routes. He's going to continue in that particular tangent, and all these things I mentioned earlier. Mekacho said the influence with inflation rates, petroleum prices. As we know, this month we are going to see reduction in petroleum prices, and that is because of a dip in the fuel prices in US. And so we expect, when all of these things are coming in, we would see the inflation rates restored back on the path of reduction. Yes, and I believe say if things go the right way, if no pandemic hits again, we would go past or go below the 15% I had hand over to NPP. Because let me remind you, NDC has seen an inflation rate of 3% under Atamels. And under Atamels, the then head of Economic Management Committee was John Dramani Mahama. And he is now the president of the country.
Okay.
And so he has expertise, not him alone, but with some of our party members like Seth Tekpe and all other people. They have expertise in this regard, and they are going to drive our economy to make sure we have stable inflation rates at a reduced rate.
Okay. Yamre second topic in Sona in Nkomo. Upper East region 66 illegal miners now. Yet me achieve muna Oshe Togo 4 26 Togolese. Ana Burkina Bay 482. Ghana 438. Yerim sega me say the papa no from committee almost stop your man for. Yeah, say okobi kwese nisi for kra chairman for me see the moment tiase ema omo ense omo nyama na dade a Upper East region adai da ben tie se bi ba ne sa sega me say for in video
Ofa answer me course topic ne so my member honorable Emmanuel Amaboa our minister for lands and natural resources. Ohwe man na obo ejuma ye pa ohwe tax forces he has been able to unveil or more share to the fact say this Galamsey. And let me tell you, Galamsey is a menace. A menace that is affecting everyone irrespective of what political colors. And this is a menace that is an existential threat. Say, because it be existential threat. And you say, like it's only affecting human beings. It's affecting humans, affecting our water bodies, affecting the fishes in the water bodies, the plants and everything. And we also know that when the last tree dies, the last man dies. And so this is an existential threat that can wipe out our entire country, because some of the waters we are taking in and drinking are what's polluted, because some of them have cyanide and all other harmful substances in them. And I think last year 2024 Ghana Water Company made us aware that when they take maybe 10 gallons of water, the good water they're able to treat out of that 10 gallons is like 2 gallons. And so that means that it will get to a point where if we don't tackle this menace, if we don't fight this Galamsey, we'll have to import water into the country for our usage, for domestic usage. And I don't like to politicize this particular topic because it is an existential threat which knows no political colors and boundaries. And so I feel that for the measures we are putting in place, establishment of the good board and all of those things are things that are going to help fight the Galamsey menace. And with the issue of Upper East, yes, that is not an isolated issue, because it is a case which has been reported across the nation. And so I would like to deal with the case as has been reported around the country, not an isolated situation. You get it? So when you look at the Galamsey in Ghana here, we have two forms of mining. We have the small scale and the large scale. Now the large scale mining are those that are regulated by those owned by the companies, Newmont, Anglo Gold, and all of those things. Then we have the small scale. In Ghana, in 2023, Ghana made or had 4.1 million ounces of gold. Out of that 4.1 million, 1.1 million was from the small scale. Now, these small scale miners are those perpetrated to be engaging in illegal mining, because they do not have the right machinery, they do not have the right training, they do not have the right technical know-how to be able to deal with the mining in a legal way. And so the formation of good board here, Mr. Sami Jemfi Edano, and which is going to regularize or operationalize some of these sector reforms now. They are going to make sure that these small scale miners will be trained on how to use certain equipment, how to also use some of their technical know-how to benefit the country without necessarily spoiling or degrading our environment. Nanuya Mahama Ekoma's speech, State of Nations address, or say out of 288 forest reserves Ghana has, 44 of them have been encroached. Because they have been encroached, that it means these illegal miners have taken center stage in this forest and are doing some of these illegalities in there. And when these things are happening, they do not, like I said, they are existential threats to humans in the first place. And you know, I think say the task forces now, your friend is saying, President Alanche and then Minister Amaboa Alanche. I think they are in the right call to fight this, because I think even apprehension of these 66 people, Upper East region was by these particular task forces. And I think we have to commend them, say, or taking some steps, say, but it doesn't end there. I think they should also make sure that there is a patrol team that should be around those centers, so that these illegal miners do not return back to these particular situations, sites and all of that. So I think in that regard, the minister in charge.
They say, task force for no kohwa. You say, ebimu NDC for omukra ni omu fight. Say Galamsey de enka aban inyuma ho. Entomunya wa sense asini ntu afuma gudie no. Ben it must stop it.
Ofa.
Konsenka MPP NDC naba. Na yesi fight Galamsey a ebimu against say petini ya dia kwampa yam prince ebetumi.
Ofa.
Abra Galamsey.
O share NDC mo a ye party we are very, 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 very principled. In the sense that we have the track record, say whether you are NDC member, now say you are doing something which is wrong, we would take actions against you. You who NDC abaya, we've persecuted and sacked our young Crawford. And so if something like this is happening in Ghana, and we have NDC members behind, we have NDC supporters behind it, it doesn't stop the fact that it is a wrongdoing, and President John Dramani Mahama has stated emphatically that he is against illegal mining. But what he is going to do is, we have to, let me also make it clear, in Ghana here, we have so many youth who are involved in illegal mining. We have to look at protecting, we have to look at two things. One is protecting our environment. Number two is also making sure that these youth have a source of living. Because if we sack all of them from work, or we take all their sources or livelihood from them, then it means they are going back to the streets to engage in all sorts of social vices, criminalities, robberies, rape cases, and all of those things. So we have to look at a situation where these people are not left unemployed, and then our environment also protected. And in Mahama say, okay, since these people decide to do mining, let us train them with the appropriate techniques on how to do it. We ban them from using our water bodies and forest reserves. And when you look at the Good Board again, I will make reference to the Good Board. Honorable Mr. Semi Jemfi made a point that when these golds are mined, because these small scale miners do not have the technical know-how, they will bring it to the Good Board. Then the Good Board will treat the gold and then commercialize it. And now they are going to regularize it. They are going to give them excavators and make sure that these excavators are used at the right concession without entering our forest reserves and our reserve. And whether it is NDC based, NPP based, it is a wrongdoing, and it is a menace that is an existential threat that is we need to address as a nation. We need to put party colors aside and address it as a patriotic nation. So I think Mahama is in the right call, and he's going to do that devoid of all political colors. And I think even his appointments, you can see that there are some NPP beneficiaries who are enjoying from his appointment. So Mahama is someone who embraces all ideas. So far as you have the expertise and technical know-how, I think Mahama is ready to work with you, irrespective of your color or boundary or ethnicity or wherever you come from.
Okay, but also in Galamsey, from there 2014, 16, 15, 16 year, now you say I'm going far by. Nama about the tram and saying, "I dear campaign, baby, muka say, what pain? Galamsey my breast soon put a bay giddy. The moving the muntim, but some of that I got for."
We did so Mokasa no much answer because you say adwen eni baako fo etrim enti say ebia enkane no na yentimi anso ano a na say yasako Mahama, as like you also rightly said, Mahama has learnt a lot, and I agree with you. Mahama has come and he's changing so many things. If Mahama has learned so many things and is trying to change so many things, I think when he went back to the drawing board, he came back with fresh ideas on how to tackle it. So as to whether, and I don't even agree with it, saying that Galamsey started in 2014 or 2015 or only under.
But I say, you know, 2012 started.
It has been, Galamsey has been with us since the 1980s, and without a doubt, every successive government have tried playing a role to stop it. Yes, but if people say Mahama doesn't have the merit or doesn't have the moral right to say he's going to fight it, I think it is wrong, because Mahama has learned, he has the track record of fighting it. His commitment to Galamsey fight is evident, and that is what has led to the formation of the Good Board and other associated PMMC and all of those things to fight Galamsey and to make sure that Ghana makes the most out of our resources, because God has share the number of the level of gold that I think in 2022 Ghana made or produced the most gold in Africa. We made 142 million tons of gold in 2022. And so if we are able to put all these things together, make sure we do mining the right way without all the illegalities and without touching our water bodies and reserves, I think we are going to make so much money from the sector. And so Mahama is committed to the fight, and he is going to overcome this menace. I'm sure of that.
Okay. But I say, and you say, I'm somebody to meet you as here. Tigana from to somebody to meet you as here. Moya sure. Mujidi. Mujidi.
Because some of your plans are there to and actions are here because Mahama Mpu or say under then they've just ended government. If this Omusizi will excavator na yasheno na yedijatum, but Mahama said dabi emamunye nesa Musizia munkipi, then we'll train these people again and then what, give them back their machines, then they do the mining the right way, because I don't believe say mining is wrong in Ghana. What we are against is what, the illegal mining, the mining where you mine in concession and I say you mine to what to affect our water bodies and also our forest reserve. That is what we are against.
Now then the sequence last time was from past 4 years. Month me and survey na month was mujaya sebi abanada iba and swastina na.
So yes. Between 2014 to 2016, Mahama took so many steps. Oshaya, he made sure he launched some of these Operation Vanguard and all those things, these kind of task forces, so that they can go around the forest to make sure that these number of illegal minings are reduced. Yes, and so he couldn't complete it, but he did something to stop it. And between 2014 to 2016, we know that at least our turbidity levels, that is the clarity of water. Our turbidity levels were not as bad as what we have now. In 2024 report by NSA, our turbidity levels was around 14,000 NTU. Yes, instead of around, the normal one is around 110 NTU. That is the normal. We went above it and we're doing 140,400 NTU. You understand? Your commitment to the Galamsey fight has been evident. We've done it before, even though we couldn't overcome it then. It was something that we tried to reduce. We couldn't overcome it. But now I believe with our pragmatic solutions, with the visionary leader in John Mahama, we are going to create jobs for the people in the long run. Some of these people, more engaging in illegal mining, are doing that because of lack of jobs. And Mahama has promised jobs for the people, whether you want to want to learn in the informal sector under the apprenticeship program, whatever you are doing, the 24-hour economy. And I say a Ghana publishing service, and so I started the 24-hour economy. Under that, we are going to have jobs in the country, and so these people will not be asked will not be forced to risk their lives, because illegal mining, yes. So if there are jobs for them, legal jobs for them where they can make money, I think these youth would refrain from risking their lives, because some of them, it's not like they have an option, or more because they have no option. That is their source of livelihood. We have students who go to school, leave school, after school they go into this pits to mine, and that is because of what? Lack of jobs. So Mahama has promised that he's going to create jobs for our youth, and so we would see people leaving these illegal activities and now would want to get employed, get some training in the informal sector and all of those things. So I think with these pragmatic solutions and ideas already, I think we are on the right course, and in the next 2 years we should see a drastic decline in Galamsey or illegal mining in Ghana.
Yanfa akesima du mienu na nonaya bom na yesori Jumade showdown I Kumasi online TV and Friends of Ken TV. Now say enu aba Resina Krantima ya Okasadema movement for change ya pa Alan Poticha maintain na ya nsenso yesi nso atopa ntino traffic achina dadi ukruma enu aba yi myeshwa se baby adudie monfa nche ontumi ma na yeni abema aye Kevin ewie yeni abema Dogwe Kevin aye NDC communication team member Washington region and yeni no edi enkomodwuma di showdown so na aka last topic na afia sole so but asema ba BBC fa koye expose hu say youth no a man mema nyina omoy addicted ya efa sabi ebiti se sa enubonia abibeya ema enonom mema enonom ne ade ama mene wo kasa kura no sebi akọ parliament ama parliament for so kura bobo ho a ese obi a wo yese bo se etimi hwe na emla so enini di meba ho ma men kind statement omodi bo say BBC exposed in illustrate drugs is an embarrassment that must pave way for us to deal with addicted youth by MPs. The Member of Parliament, the Kolokrote constituency, Dr. Zinato Ajma Lawrence, said the recent exposed by the BBC is a national security issue that must be taken seriously. She said it is her prayer that given the exposed and the global embarrassment we see now, we will take this matter very serious. Commenting on the matter before the House on Tuesday, February 2025, she underscored the need for authorities to take immediate actions to deal with the importation of drugs. The lawmaker opined that the ramification of this illicit drug inflow into Ghana goes beyond the large scale and affecting people's lives, the security in our schools, affecting the security of our ordinary citizens. She suggested that the law enforcement agencies responsible for this need to be strengthened. Eti mame ehwe ebe den na ye wo FDA wa ha. Ye se India fo niam bi o maya omode power emwa emponko ne niam bi a omode yo moniam na sabi omode ba eni kwase nipa kra no ye yefa emwo ne ade eye den na FDA fo etimi transe Ghana ye borders ahodo ye checkpoints ahodo etimi di enu bi se fam ebe ba Ghana market ya ye to ye so ko drug store ye to pharmacist ye ton oko market nso a e mana hye bi woni mamu ton Kevin amana edu hen
ofa okay issue of illicit and illegal drugs here because it does not only affect omo no yeah you teach so it also affects us in the sense say obi kofa edru bi say ya edru boni bi say ya obitimi onam kra na you are not even safe in town again until no the FDA any immigration service here Ghana immigration service here omutimi allow some of these goods to come inside, you know. I think say they should also man up and do their jobs well. And most of the times too, in Rona and Kofo, it is not because they are harmful, but it is because they take them in excess quantity and they become addicted. Okay, Drobi to say tramadol. See, I think scientific research actually said tramadol is used to treat some illnesses, but who abusing and now you take it with some particular or other substances, it becomes harmful.
Okay,
and so I think the Narcotics Board, the FDA should educate the Ghanaian people on how to use some of these drugs. And I think let's look at some of the implications. When we look at uses of illicit drug, when we say illicit drug, it's not because they are illegal. It is because they have certain substances in them that are not recommended for certain people. So I may say, it would be to say tramadol wouldn't be good for me. So when I take tramadol, I'll start showing or exhibiting some particular characteristics and I say activities I would be showing. When you look at the health risks of that, most of the time the people who get addicted to some of these illicit drugs, they end up being mentally retarded. It being someone if pregnant women take them, they transmit to their children, they give birth and their children are deformed. And so these are health hazards of it. Now here's security aspects of it too. There was a report that was released in 2023, and there is the results of the research. And they say in Ghana, 50,000 people abuse drug or take in illicit drug. 50,000 yearly, on a yearly basis. 50,000 people. Out of these 50,000 people, 35,000 of them are youth between the ages of 12 to 35. And these are people who are in secondary schools, primary, junior high schools, and tertiary institutions. And they come out of school and they harm people. Security is down. And youth, this is because the youth are neck deep in this. The remaining 15,000, and so these are people who are relatively old. 15,000, 9,000 AMM or and 6,000 AMI. Even the illegal drugs, even women are included. And so we would have to look at pragmatic ways to handle it. Ghana has our main way of dealing with drug abusers is we arrest them. Yes, and that shouldn't be the case. Utie criminal law lawyer Martin Kwebu under a forum will say these drug abusers are armed with their drugs, but the way the government even handles it is even inappropriate. Some of the drugs make you see things in a different way. I'll see you as a small person. I am ready to engage in violence activities. Now government and also if the government finds you out, instead of say I will put them through proper rehab centers to advise them to take them through the risks of some of these activities, so that mobile out and next time they wouldn't indulge in something like that. And in Ghana here, unfortunately, we have just about 981 public sector rehabs, government in India, and this is not adequate. Looking at the facts, yearly you have about 50,000 people who engage in drug abuse, and so I think our law enforcers, our lawmakers should look at ways of making sure we regulate the influx of drugs into the country, the usage and dispensation of drugs, because it is not always about drug.
Okay.
It is about the usage and it is about its handling as well. So I think FDA, the Ghana Immigration Service should come together, and the Ghana Narcotics Board should come together and be able to educate. I think when I was in school, JHS, that was in 2017, Narcotics Board came around to educate us on some of these drugs, cannabis, marijuana, and all of those things. I think they should do more of public education or lectures in collaboration with the NCCE, so that many people will be aware of the implications, hazards, both health and security implications of these abuses.
Okay, but it is Ghana security service and I say institutions are weak and are serving and 18 because I think a spying pool. Na ediaba system na ye ton de Ghana for nya ade na amam for so issue e bi ye drugs ne drinks near the idea say we the system anymore. What's the reason here sanema we at times happy in our system?
Say what I say BBC happen it is as a result of say obi anyi nejuma yi. Yes, in the sense that before any form of food will get into the country, then it means that someone has not done his job the right way. And you know, I think going forward we should be able to train our health personnel. We should be able to train our security agencies, for instance, the Ghana Immigration Service, so that they can be able to fish out some of these expired drugs or expired food, so that they do not even enter our system. And most importantly, like I said, the Ghana Immigration Service should be trained on how to detect some of these expired foods and drugs, so that they do not even allow them into the country. Secondly, the Food and Drugs Board or Food and Drugs Authority should also be expanded to make sure that they are available to check all food and drugs before the dispensation or distribution across the country. And they should also empower these pharmaceuticals and over the counter shops, so that they do not sell some of these expired drugs and foods to the Ghanaian people. So I think more of the time we should make sure we train our security agencies to be able to curtail this issue.
Okay, thank you very much for your time, for coming.
I want to wish Obi birthday. That be my friend. Okay. In the Chidera of KNUST, Mickey, Michael say happy birthday to you on this special. Or your bar.
Everyone say
Chidera.
Pachan
or biological science 1.
Sir, don't for picture. I say get it to a use man.
Meaning the picture was hasi. Okay, me ba my man pen.
I said I too late.
Okay.
And get it to suma maja. Ye nua ba nso Chidera nso soja. Kwame de lanzo so we losing. Na onua ba Chidera nso so wo Kenyan say aye combination. Nanka etimi aboa. And what is a nyahwe that's it. Eti ene no din birthday so na mo bie.
Ene ya.
Ene mo bie o.
Nyame ya do ma ye be
mo bie akwan fa kan ko oluma me so ja. Me fa me
ABS mo. Echina holiday ntin.
So o chere ntin e be na so chere. Ene nyime ya. So chere mo go school ti ja wa say ha ntin mo be kwa mo na ho ma de ntin. That's it. Kevin yakopon shira o. Amen. Ye nua be ma Kevin Dogbe MPP sorry. Hey, what's our name? And this communication team member, our Shantere, you say student, can rest member, and only be the common on. Monfan chairs, any about Regina Crantima, and to me, Ambeka, and say, Suno, in saying Swato Party, Okasadema, movement for change, and they want to me, Monfan chair. Yamia Friday, Lebesia, na yat was Monday showdown. I Kumasi online TV, Tick TV, and Friends of Ken TV. Be doing any of for dance, but that MC and Nina say Manuel and I feel director the any boy in so. Edana say or that Jumadi, and maybe be able to me cause come and I feel so. Namaya and I didn't cry 10 minutes in ano at the ever some ye and every year and you may. Miss Solisu de Nonayabo and into the best Yakopoya Doma. Yenshia, that's it. If yada not yen twasso. Showdown, Yakramo, Mabai.
Baba, have you been told at the Frontier party necessary as majority leader then? Or my cartel? You know why you were changed?
I know. It was told me by the president at the time.
Okay.
And
but why in the public?
Osei.
Like the reason one fan to that.
Oh, say. Of free MPs no ne ministers no
o
dem na omo share sade no
okay
na asem no bobo no MPs no be even about over 80 of them that many number 137 about 80 of them had appended their signatures, so what to say asem say neighbor, and I should assure them say I will hold and they will support me. Na me call ya present a fraying and all the two anymore no. Na even them ho krampo no ministers no be ebetia me na so say amate say na papa no beka the president Yamai. Now, Mamintie, they are going to support me. Now, I should hold on as the majority
leader.
Now, me down, some of them sent messages to me in Manima. Me called them Hona President Bekasa, no. I know Kasu, I didn't know you one party no. And now me marching against the MPs no year. Maria get a big implosion by party. Oh, and here na on the spur of the moment, I'm decided to say no. I've had enough. Let me step aside. The president de Casa Danukwana me take it down notes. The way no ma general secretary. So only general secretary can hold on take it decision. No friends will make us. So I picking down a few notes. We ain't be some said will be bigger. The show and make us my resign.
You said it there and there.
I said it there and there. So I didn't want to be the eye of any storm in the party. I'm quoting myself. Until I'm resigning. Let them why didn't, and those of them no more no MPs no fault disappointed them and so on. And so when they heard, they all said the same thing. But I think I took
on my reasoning to on the party to take his decision. Say watch a dodo and now so we feel say
oh
they are from an answer day.
And not the meeting I can say.
Yes.
The okay and say some rena and this for now President Mahama no mo yini so beda
yes, yes.
Na onyi ni running mate. But sen na AC Coronier ni so be fa Vice President ene Professor
Nana
Addo.
Yes.
Intino President Frey na sem no nam say ni pono no. So Central Region no say ya ho den kofom. E wo ho. Na in visibility e wo ho. The minority leaders Nato not taking over from Haruna.
Yes.
And they were expecting to have the vice presidential candidate from the same region.
Sure.